Okay, when you're working with identity properties, they're really asking what has to happen so no effect has happened to the problem. So the identity property of addition says, what do you add to x? So there's no change made, and that's when you add 0. So the identity property of multiplication, what do you multiply by? So there's no change, and that's when you multiply by 1. So property of addition identity, you add 0. Identity property for multiplication, you multiply 1, because when you multiply 1, there is no change. Now the associative property says you have terms being done. You're doing some math, and you change the grouping. So here I have the first two terms grouped together, then I adding the last term. So to do the associative property, I would change it to the grouping of the last terms. So do you see that the groupings change but nothing else? So for multiplication, I'd have a times b, and then if I did associative property on it, it'd be a and then group the b times c. Commutative property, you're actually switching the order, switching the terms. So addition, if you had a plus b plus c, it'd be b plus a plus c. So I switched the order of the a plus b. Or multiplication, a times b times c, I got a times b, then I switched it to b times a. Or I switched it to the b and the c. So switching the order is commutative property, switching the grouping is the addition property. So notice I still have a, b, c for associative property, but it's just the different groupings. Now, the Cartesian coordinate system. In the first quadrant is here. This section in here is the first quadrant. This is the x-axis, or x-intercepts lie on this axis. Y-axis, or the y-intercepts lie on this axis. So if you go into this quadrant, it's the second quadrant. Now, they usually use Roman numerals. So this would be I, this would be I, and this would be IV. So if you go left down, that'd be the third quadrant. Then right down, that'd be the fourth quadrant. Now I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because you should know it, to be honest, not to hurt your feelings. Mean, median, mode, and range. So mean is when you add up the items and divide by the number of items. So this has 6 items, so I would divide by 6. And then 5 and 6, 11. 7 is 18, 26, 35, 45. So it'd be 45 divided by 6. 42 is 7, so that'd be 7.5, I guess. The median is the item in the middle of the list. So you have to order the list first, highest to lowest or lowest to highest. Then find the middle. Let's see, it's there. And it'd be the one right between these two because there's an even number of items, so that would also be 7.5. The mode is the item that occurs the most. There isn't one that occurs the most, so I would say none. And the range is just the largest minus the smallest. So 10 minus 5 or 5. Now, if I remember correctly, most people got these right. So I wasn't going to spend a lot of time on this. But that's what it is. Add up the items, divide by the number of items. Median, the item in the middle of the list. Mode, the one that occurs the most. You could have no mode. You could have more than one mode. And range is the largest minus the smallest. Hey, hey.